Unit 1 History of the English Language and Literature MA English Semester 1 यूनिट फर्स्ट हम लोग पढ़ने जा रहे हैं लैंग्वेज डिफिनेशन एंड कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स इसका स्ट्रक्चर इंट्रोडक्शन ऑब्जेक्टिव लैंग्वेज बेसिक का इंट्रोडक्शन इसका पढ़ेंगे Introduction. Language is a mode of communication, comprehension, and cognition. We use language or communication with one another in oral, written, and sing forms. Only the human race culture developed a full-fledged language on these planets. Birds and animals use some rudimentary sound and physical action for communication, but that will not question quality or as a language. That means the role of language in human extend verbal communication and in invaluable cognition to unlike birds and animals. Humans have journeyed behind sounds and gesture. Humans have developed meaningful words by combining discuss sound combination context free words. They have developed contextual sentence in the first couple of years. Children also depend on some rudimentary sound to experience hunger, happiness, and jealous throat, cry, smell, and anger respectively, but in the process they normally acquire all language skills. We use language to express thoughts and feelings and respond to others. We use language simple as a means of communication. Language is invaluable even when we tell to ourselves, read some books, listen to others, and look around. Language is invaluable in the development of our knowledge work and other cognitive abilities. Language plays an important role in cognition, a higher kind of mental activity that involves thought, perception, imagination, and reasoning. It is important to note that language is invaluable in our communication, comprehension, and cognition. Language is inevitable for our development and progressive as a human race. Objective. The objective of this unit are to help you to understanding the difference of language and basic issues related to it, including etymology, types, areas of analysis, aspect, etc. Understand language throughout the interpretation of the ideas propounded by various scholars and linguistics. Different characteristics of language, their evolution over time, and their contribution to the scientific study of language. Language basic. Etymology. Etymology is the study of the history of words that includes the origin and development of words with time. The word language has its root in Latin. In Latin, language means thought. In French, the term language means speech. The word language comes from Middle English and meant talk or conversation. Naturally evolved language versus artificially constructed language. There are two kinds of language, natural and artificial. A language that has evolved naturally and belongs to a community is called a natural language or instance of communication. Invaluable words and sentences are examples of natural language. All language and their varieties that have collective properties belong to the class of natural language. In contrast, an artificial language is created by humans, but it invaluable machines. Artificial language invaluable special coded and programming. Such languages are created by a single individual, unlike natural language, has ownership less with a community. Verbal and non-verbal of language. When humans use words and sentences of community, the use is non-verbal communication in natural language such as English, Hindi, French, grammar, and German and Urdu happens in verbal and non-verbal forms. Often the communication happens in a faint mix of verbal and non-verbal forms. Scholars distinguish between verbal communication and written communication to reference to the oral and graphical model of expression of human language. Linguistics, the scientific study of language. The scientific study of human language is called linguistics. linguistics are prepared by study language from various standpoint. Linguistic study different aspects of human language and development to describe and analyze them. Linguistics has several branches of subfields such as phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantic, pragmatic, and discourses. Linguistics also has several interface with other sciences. The result is scholastic, naturalistic, computational linguistic, claims linguistic, forces linguistic, historical linguistic, linguistic describe the working of extensive language and also explain change occurring in tandem due to the contact of other language translation. Interaction, artificial intelligence are professional fields that have benefits a lot from the fielding in the field of linguistic levels of linguistic analysis. Language manifests itself at various levels accordingly. Linguistic studies language of various levels. The major levels of linguistic analysis include phonetics, phonology, morphology, semantic, syntax, and pragmatics. The disciplines of phonetics study how humans do and reveals sound phonology deals with the sounds of a specific language. Semantic is the study of the meanings. The study that deals with the sentence structure is called syntax. Pragmatic study how humans use a particular language is study the relationship between language and its use. Language and escape the difference between language and script should be well understood before we process with differentiating language and discussing it. Various characteristics language is expressed by verbal speech as well as written symbols. The verbal speech or oral form use speech sounds as a medium to be heard, and in written form it use a script to be read. Therefore, the script is a various or graphical representation of sounds of language. A script contains a set of characters or literature that represent speech sounds, and it is used for written language. English is written in the Roman script and has 6 letters that can appear in appropriate capital literature and lowest small letters. The speakers of a language collectively develop or select a script of within their language. A script can be used to write in several languages. For instance, Roman and Arabic scripts are used for several languages of the words. Some language is written in more than one script. For instance, Punjabi in Indian is written in Gurmukhi script, but in Pakistan it is written in Sahmukhi script. Most languages of the world do not have any script, which means they also do not have written record. They are transmission oral for one generation to another. Language signifier and signified. The Swiss linguistic frequency source in course in general linguistics 1960 said that language is a system of singles, and sing is the basic unit of language. He has also defined the relationship between the types of language signification, signifier and signified. According to him, a sing is the sum total of the signifier and the signified. He said that the relation between the sing and the signifier are history. Let use understanding this with the help of the following examples. In the above explanatory is a sign the sound of a trade whether your pronunciation is prepared to very or drop is its signifier, and the image that are formed when we have the word tree or read the word tree or the signifier. Any physical object consists of a sound of or names by which we identify that object and is a signifier. The ideas or image of that object which take shape in our mind and take use. That tree is a kind of object which has level truck rooted in the ground. Ground is signified. Sing language, primary sing language, and alternative sing language. The term language often evokes the ideas of speech and writing. However, sing and gesture are also part of the language. Not only this, but it is also important to understand that a subject of the human population that cannot use oral medium may still use language throughout sing and gesture. The language is considered is called sing language. Sing language has all properties of a human language and difference from spoken language only for the medium in which it is expressed. Her head, fingers, spellings, gesture, and effects expression constitution the utterance in the study of language discussion. Two types of sing language: primary sing language and alternative sing language. Primary sing language is a kind of sing language that is used by deaf people by do not use speech for communication, like BSN British sing language, ASN American sing language, and sing language ISN like spoken language. Sing language also developed in children with a suitable environment. People using sing language can create stories and compose poems with literature as well as methodical use of trade language. On noticeable points are is the sing language used by have speaking people around, and they may be using something of communication and interpretation. The part of the body involved in this communication are the head, hands, body, and feet. The second category of sing language is called alternate sing language. This category is mostly used by people who use spoken. According to Craig Yellow, alternate sing language use basic sing head signal and greater that are community understood. The mostly implied then speech and writing and cannot be used out sometimes to add study to the communication. This set of sing the communication is visible in a specific context where verbal communication is either distinct or verb limited in a way. We all use already sing language at some place without being aware that we are using a type of sing language.